Hello, and welcome to Around the Political World with John Ruffman. I am your host, John Ruffman. If you're a fan of the show, make sure to hit the follow button on the top right of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening at this very moment. When you hit follow, leave a review or share an episode with a friend. It helps other people discover the show, keeps us going. As I like to point out each and every day, it expands our base. This was the week that was. I say that because the world has changed in the last week, beginning with the oath of office of Donald Trump last Monday until today. We have seen incredible ramifications. Let's talk first about raids. That's right, ICE going after people. Not since the 1919 Palmer raids have we seen the federal government mobilized in such a fashion. People are afraid. Make no mistake. If you are Hispanic or if you are undocumented, well, you're worried. You're worried about potential deportation. The president's determination for mass roundups should concern us all. I say this because I believe that by the time I'm back here on Monday, there will be many more ramifications to these raids. The President of the United States is coming to California. He is on his way and has already announced that unless California revises its water policy, we may not get the aid we need for the fires, the massive fires in Southern California. This is a very significant moment, and we are going to watch and wait to see what the president has to say. His comments yesterday indicating that because of California's water policy, there may be limitations on the amount of aid that can come in, or as Speaker Johnson has suggested, strings may be attached, all raise real concern. There is no doubt that this will be a fascinating moment. We know that there are going to be votes in the United States Senate, particularly Pete Hegseth, who is the nominee for Secretary of Defense. There are new accusations against Hegseth, but we don't know whether they're true or not. What we do know is that yesterday, by a vote of 51 to 49, the United States Senate cleared the barriers for confirmation. It appears that Pete Hegseth will become Secretary of Defense. Let me simply say that his success or failure will be very much watched by the American people and certainly by Republicans who have decided to go along with Donald Trump's pick. And, well, as a result, the Republican Party is very much invested with what is going to happen in the Defense Department. Let me also indicate to you that we have another issue of great importance, and that has to do with President Trump's indication that when it comes to Ukraine, it's time to end the war. And he is saying that Zelensky needs to take a hard look at what he's doing. There are real implications to what is happening in Ukraine. We've talked about them for months, actually for more than a year, 2 years. It is a moment in which real decisions are going to have to be made. I want to say a word about the 14th Amendment. If you sit on the United States Supreme Court, where inevitably this issue will emerge, the text of the 14th Amendment, Section 3, is clear. If you are born in the United States of America, you are a citizen. Look it up. So if you are a literalist or a textualist, or if you are one who believes that the living word of the Constitution is what matters, then the 14th Amendment, Section 3, will be upheld. A Reagan-appointed and approved federal judge said yesterday, in the first delay on the implementation of Donald Trump's executive order, that this action by the president is unconstitutional. In the end, it will be resolved by the court. But I want to make this observation. In a discussion I had this week, someone suggested to me, it's established law. There will be no change. Let's be clear. Roe v. Wade was established law, and it was not protected because of that fact. The simple truth of the matter is that when this gets to the United States Supreme Court, the Supreme Court will do its job. It will interpret the Constitution of the United States. And the 14th Amendment is not exempt from that examination. But if they are textualists, if they believe in the written word, then the 14th Amendment, Section 3 is safe. If they decide the contrary, the 14th Amendment, Section 3, is in trouble. I point this out today because we will be talking about this a lot in the days ahead. Let's talk for a moment about what it means when President Trump decides to open the assassination files of John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, and Martin Luther King Jr. There will not be immediate answers to questions, but one thing is certain. Even if all the files are released, even if they are all gone over with a fine-tooth comb, the conspiracy theorists will not rest. They will continue to doubt. It is going to be interesting to see how these actions by the president are covered. Let's be clear. I began by saying this was the week that was. Yesterday, or was it the day before, I talked about the Reagan Revolution and how many people felt that what President Reagan did changed the face of America. And I would say they would be right. Donald Trump is now in the midst of the Trump Revolution. And what he is doing, his executive actions, his statements, will have a profound effect on everything. One last comment. There is some talk about examining the whole question of January 6th again, this time from a Republican perspective. The problem is that one of the witnesses, well, if she is called back, may testify to the fact that she was sexually harassed by members of Congress. That's the press report. Now, we're going to have to see whether or not that's true. But Republicans had better consider carefully what can of worms they open next. Thanks for tuning into another episode of Around the Political World with John Rothman. Make sure to follow along and let me know your thoughts on the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and sharing an episode with a friend or colleague so we can continue to grow and expand, which is, of course, our goal. You can interact with me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, or by emailing me. And the most important thing of all in every podcast is to thank Gogo Zoger, the wonderful producer of Around the Political World with John Rothman. And to all of you, I'm concerned because it is a weekend and there will be so much going on, so much to talk about. But you know what? I'll be back on Monday, and we'll continue our tour of the world on Around the Political World with John Rothman.